Health Services has really, for the last 12 years, been a leader in Alberta and then ultimately internationally in the development of innovative programs that help both families and children when they're impacted by domestic violence, developmental trauma, abuse, and all kinds of sort of adversities that can happen to these kids.
The average kid, I would say, has had a very difficult, sad life. It's actually pretty tragic. The stories are not nice. I even don't like to talk about it sometimes because it's pretty emotional.
If you understand what's going on with somebody and what happened to them, it's so much easier to stay in the game, to kind of be empathic, to be compassionate.
Once Brooklyn started to feel safe with us, she started telling us a lot about what had happened in other homes. And it's one thing to read it on a file. It's a very different thing to hear this sweet, kind 4-year-old who's just trying to make it in the world to share these terrible things that have happened to her. And as it just kind of came tumbling out of her, we just looked at her eyes and knew we got to find a way to work with this.
Mike's House is our newest facility on the Health Services campus.
Mike's House is an intensive treatment program for children ages 5 to 12.
So what that means is for kids who can't be serviced in the community, kids whose behaviors, emotions are at a point that they can't be cared for in a less intrusive environment.
Dr. Bruce Perry really simplified the neuroscience so that we could spend most of our time focusing on how we wanted to change the brain in a clinical sense. He took all of the complexity of neuroscience and he said, this is what you need to know as a clinician, as a caregiver, if you're working specifically with kids.
We've evolved an approach that we call the Neurosequential Model. This isn't a therapy, this is a problem-solving approach. It's a way to get to know the child in front of you. It's like a guidebook for the person who's working with the child.
Children come and they stay for months, sometimes a year, sometimes a couple of years. Mike's House was built through the generosity of Leslie Bizzett, who is a volunteer actually with our Preadolescent Treatment Program.
Mike's House actually started out with a piano.
She said to me, oh, I have an electric piano at home that we don't use anymore, and I'd like to donate it to you and the kids. So that's the first thing that she actually did for us, was gave us a piano.
Well, I've been involved with Hull for many years, and specifically with the Preadolescent Treatment Program. I work with many of the kids in a non-professional and as a volunteer.
Because she lived in the space with us, had dinner with us, did activities with us, and participated so intensely with us in our previous location, she could really, I think, have her own vision of what she thought would be a better experience for these kids.
Really what they needed was a home environment. They needed a place that was cozy, they needed a place where they were comfortable and also safe.
So she basically walked in one day and said, here's $5 million, you guys need a new building.
What's been amazing about this is that the gift was so generous. We could take what we had done for the last 55 years and say, here's the things that have worked really, really well. Here's all the things we've learned through science, and here's what we'd like to see done differently in this space.
People who've had the opportunity to see our old building would realize that it was quite dated, and it wasn't probably physically the most welcoming of environments.
What do you think of the new building?
Awesome. It's way bigger than the other one, so there's less bugs.
And of course we said to her, hey, Leslie, this is your donation. We'd love for you to be able to name it. And she thought about it and she called me up and she said, I got a name.
I have a member of my family who is autistic, and I'm very proud of him. And so when it came to putting a name on this place, what better name could it be than Mike's House?
Hi, I'm Mike, and I'd like to welcome you to my house. I've suffered a lot of the same things that you have. There's nothing to be afraid of. You're not going to be dealing with anything like you would have somewhere else. You'll get fed, you'll be able to sleep at night. You're safe here to deal with the problems that you have and to move past them. We're here to help you. You can feel better.
how has touched so many kids in such a positive way and so many families. And I would like to see more people know about what goes on in this organization.
They've always been able to demonstrate a growth mindset. So they've brought in a number of evidence-based practices, and whenever they hear about something that seems as if it will help these families, they go explore. And they get to know what the idea is or what the approach is, and then they see if it fits in their current working model.
I love our staff. We have amazing people.
Our heartbeat of this program are the direct care counselors that work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with the kids here.
Incredibly creative, compassionate staff, people that would see strengths in us, strengths in Brooklyn, strengths in our family, and just say, let's capitalize on those strengths. Let's work with that, let's be creative.
They've got a tremendous insight about how to provide regulatory experiences to help these kids to open up. So then you can use words and you can talk to them.
The beauty of our job is we get to make an impact.
I love knowing that the things we're doing are an investment that will pay off in dividends in the future.
We develop some really long-term, compassionate relationships with these kids. We believe that is the vehicle of change.
Really, at the end of the day, all saved our family.
It's a pretty special place for some special people.